Hi class, I'm going to do my presentation now as though I was a student in the class. Some things I want you to notice is that hopefully I'm going to be reading from the slides very little. I'm talking, maybe I'm not using notes, but maybe you want to use some notes that you could use to talk from. And the other thing is I have my presentation and then I have my picture here in the corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the presentation for you guys to have as an example. It should be maybe about 5 minutes long. Okay, so what I researched for this project was college students with ADHD and if they are successful in college and what can be done to help make them more successful. So the problem is that 6% of all college student population has ADHD, according to an article that I read. And that is, of course, the students who report it. We know that there may be students who don't report it. And so especially for these students, college is a big transition. The ADHD can often impact their academic, social, and psychological functioning. And so, as my source said, we can expect that these students will have problems when they're entering college life. So what effect does this have on them in college? Are they able to be successful? What I learned through an article that I read is that college students with ADHD did receive grades that were half a grade level below their peers, and this happened across all 4 years. Also, it shows that college students with ADHD are less likely to stay enrolled across semesters. That means that they're more apt to drop out of college. And so, indeed, having ADHD can impact their ability to be successful in college. Reasons why they might struggle is perhaps in high school they had an IED, an individualized education plan, IEP, that's the word I'm looking for. And so in college, it's going to be up to them to go to disability services and ask for the accommodations that they need. Some students might not be able to do that. Also, high school was very structured, right? You did classes, usually from 7 to 2:30 in the day. Maybe then you had an after-school activity. You went home, you had your dinner, you did your homework. Every day kind of had a certain structure. At college, because your classes can be at different times, you're more independent when you're going to get things done. That lack of structure can be a problem for students with ADHD. And of course, that relates to just being more independent in general, right? You're expected more to manage your time and your schedule. Often, because students had ADHD, their parents were very involved with them growing up, and maybe they fought for their children to get the extra time and services they needed for school. Therefore, the student was never really taught to advocate for themselves. And so when they get to college now, and it's kind of more up to them to ask the teacher when they don't understand something, or ask the teacher maybe to slow down or give them those accommodations that they need, that they don't feel comfortable doing that because they never really had that kind of practice. Again, that's probably because of too much parental involvement in their youth. And as Sarkis says, the reality is young adults with ADHD tend to function at a younger emotional age than their peers. Therefore, even at college, they may need additional parental intervention and assistance. This can lead to problems, right, where the student is saying, but I want to be independent, I want to do it myself in college, and either their parent is trying to help too much, or maybe their parent has stopped helping altogether, saying, you're at college now, do it yourself. In either case, that lack of support, or maybe needing that support and not getting it, or not being able to advocate and say, I can do this all on myself, but mom and dad, maybe I still need you to help me set up a schedule for the week or something. So that can lead to a lot of conflict when it's time to go to college between the ADHD student and their parents. But there are some predictors of success for ADHD students. This article talked about students who have fewer depression symptoms, so maybe they don't have depression with their ADHD, which is very common. Students without depression symptoms seem to be more capable in school. Those who have better executive functioning skills, that means things like time management skills, being able to plan and make their own calendar. students with those skills are ready. Maybe they practiced those in high school. Maybe they have parents or a success course in high school that help prepare them. Those students tend to be more successful in college. And then also having received those accommodations in high school and then getting them again in college, using all the resources available to them. That's going to make ADHD students more successful. What they need to have to be successful is a plan for transition coming to college. Even when they're searching for colleges and what colleges they should go to, they should consider their ADHD and think about, how would I be at a big college or university like University of Maryland College Park, or would I do better in a smaller campus, something like a Salisbury or something that maybe would feel less overwhelming. Students should also think about their medication when they go to college, and either if they haven't been on medication, maybe they want to start before they go to college, or think about if they're on medication that they want to continue the use of that medication while they're in college, where they're going to get that medication. They should also have discussions with their doctors, because we know that sometimes people sell and abuse the ADHD drugs. So the students should be talked about using the drugs appropriately. They should also just be aware of some of the things we've talked about how ADHD might just affect them in college, so that they can be ready when they go to college for the struggles that might happen. And of course, use the college's resources like academic coaching, disability service, etc. So that is all I have about students with ADHD. This is my Works Cited page. Thanks for listening.